Carson teaches creative writing at Full Sail University and holds her MFA in creative nonfiction from the University of Central Florida. When not teaching or writing, she enjoys punching dummies in the face with sweaty guys at the gym, rolling around in the mud during obstacle courses, and planning her future but not yet set nuptials in great detail. How ironic. She also braids historic tales in the old house at Lou Gardens, where her nuptials are sure to be set. Pull your children out of the room and enjoy her depressing poetry. Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Carson.
Thank you, J. Bradley. Okay, so I've got 3 500-word short pieces of nonfiction here, which pretty much encapsulate all of my relationships ever. Except for my summer of passion, which, I don't know, it ended well, so I didn't include it here. Alright, so first I have For the Love of John. Hang on. Alright. I awoke with the imprint of his belt buckle on my cheek. I'd fallen asleep with my head in John's lap, his body sprawled out on the leather sofa, also known as the casting couch. He was in charge of a fledgling film studio, and I was an intern. I was in love with him, and he was not in love with me. However, I do believe that he loved the idea of me loving him, what with the long, hard embraces and the way he shielded me from his brother's advances. There were plenty of clues that I should give up, especially when he started dating another girl. This was a true blow to the soul because he'd said he couldn't date me because he was 23 and I was 18 and I was just too young. This other girl, Susie, was 19. This nearly killed me in the way that teenage hormones gang up to punch and kick. I made him carrot cakes and spaghetti because sometimes he didn't have the money to eat. He took me to the prom, driving me in a Lexus that may as well have been a limousine. After we went to the beach in the dark, he parked and let his seat back and fell asleep. This was a sign. After I moved to Orlando for college, September 11th occurred. I stared at the swirling stitches on my blue comforter and called John. I just wanted you to know that I care about you, I said, suddenly feeling stupid. Okay, he said. I care about you too. I went back to the studio a few times. Once I saw him asleep with the light on in the film studio's office. No matter how hard I knocked, he wouldn't wake up. I finally crawled into the bushes that surrounded the building to rap on the window. Then he woke up, embraced me, and told me that maybe one day he'd marry me. No, I said. This was it. I wasn't going to wait. I did though, for the rest of that year. I kept holding out for the kiss that would seal it all, the kiss that never came. He did do one amazing thing for me though. You see, I'd started cutting during my freshman year. This wasn't the first way I'd hurt myself, but it was the first time I'd cut. I told him this, and when my mom stopped by his office with a case of Diet Coke, for she loved him too, he told her my secret. I was devastated, but he did what I'd never do, and he did it because he loved me. Alright, the story of Tom. We played tag in the sand of Siesta Key one evening. An old couple smiled at us, just like in the movies. We were a rock star couple, the hit of the party. We went to bed together drunk and spinning on Red Bull, and I held it in when he told me he'd be leaving in 2 months, with his roommate, without me. I visited during spring break, and Seattle was chilly. Over the phone, I told my mother the weather wasn't for me, and I think that broke him. He read while I cried. I didn't come like I used to. We ate tuna and granola bars. I was hungry. After we broke up, I played Simon and Garfunkel loud enough to break my eardrums. I bucked and swayed to the climax of the sweeping ocean wave-like sounds of Death Cab for Cutie's Transatlanticism, which we listened to together. Angry, cold Pacific waves crashed around me, and my body was the rock, unmoving in the sea that was my life. The blue vinyl of the Killers' Mr. Brightside turned on my record player, the record player that had once been his, that had once been his grandmother's. The record player he gave to me, speakers and all, when we stuffed tube socks and snacks into his roommate's car when they left. I gave it to Goodwill one day, not out of spite. I needed to stop the physical pain the music pulsated through my eardrums and into my stomach. I needed to stop the bile from rising. I needed to lose my cell phone with the pictures, to forget the way his mouth smelled like bell peppers and beer, to move to the next man, one without trunks full, ready to give away memories like so much money spent on parties, ready to give life away the way he gave a pot for me. He couldn't promise he wouldn't do drugs when gone, though, and that hurt the most, when he would call and confess, and I would cry for him and for me, for the records, for the fried green tomatoes we made, and for the bike rides we took, for the way my back hurt after lying on the couch, the way he showed me emails to his mother that spoke of the promise, the privilege of love, the pain that reminded me of purity, of something lost and gained again, the way he didn't look back when I stood in the security line at the airport, of knowing it was over right after the love had begun. And this last one's fun. All right, so this is the worst date ever. Worst date. We met at a party for Harcourt Publishers. A friend had invited me as her date. He was an employee, and he was funny. His name was Richards, yes, with an S. This was a Scandinavian tradition, apparently. Unchained Melody? Help me out. Which one? Melody, okay. You know, the song from Ghost played, and I pulled him to the dance floor. Thus arrived the first sign that this might not work. You're not going to leave me like my last girlfriend did, are you? Hey, he was drunk, right? Not during the song, I said, just dance. And so we danced. Later in the evening, okay, this isn't written down, but he actually gave his number, his digits to his friend to give to me. And while his friend asked me out, he got down on one knee.
Wow.
It was really weird. But it was sweet, right? So, no, Jacqueline said.
No.
I didn't know. All right. So he asked me out, and I said yes. We met at Austin Coffee to decide what to do, which was to see a terrible movie, Aeon Flux. In case you can't remember, this movie was based off of a television series, and Charlize Theron played a character from the future. I believe she may have had hands for feet, but that may have just been her sidekick. I'm not completely sure. Who should drive? He asked. I have a suspended license. Let's go separately, I said. At the bright complex where the theater was, beneath trees filled with iridescent, twisted plastic icicles, he explained the origins of his name. Then we got in line for the movie, and he found a $5 bill on the ground. Being a gentleman, he asked the people around us if it belonged to them. Nice. And then he offered it to me. Why don't you just put that toward the movie, I said. His face brightened. Then at the ticket counter, he pulled out some more cash because $5, of course, wouldn't cover one ticket. And then a voucher for a movie he left to pay for the other ticket. Now, maybe this is sexist of me, but wouldn't a guy with a well-paying job want to show off his wealth, even if meager, on a first date? That aside, we went into the theater, and he excused himself to use the restroom. When he returned, he had some information for me. Did you know that they sell condoms and Advil in the bathroom? I mean, who would need Advil at the movies? So, I thought he was joking, so I laughed. And then he gave me one of those looks like I wasn't joking, bitch. So, that was weird. Then he showed me his shoe, the sole of which opened into a great dark maw. I need to get these fixed, he said. Then came the best part, the part that did the date in. I'm going to spoil the movie for you. Yes, so if you don't want to hear it, cover your ears, and hopefully I'll tell you when it's over. Okay. So in the climax of the movie, it is revealed that the characters are being impregnated through their food. Yes. So I laughed out loud. So that's what you do. Shh. he said. It could happen. So I was sure then there would be no sex had, and I didn't know about this guy. But still, outside the theater, I decided to give him one more chance. So what are your hobbies? I asked him. I love my aquarium, he said. That was fine, but we'd already talked about his aquarium. What else? I have a gun collection, he said. What are your hobbies? Well, I do yoga. He gave me a sly look. I'll bet you're as flexible as Charlize Theron was in that movie. I doubt that. At that point, I'd found my car. Sorry. And we lingered outside my car really awkwardly. And I said, okay, so this is my car. Goodbye. We said an awkward goodnight. I was dating. I was a something. This night, it was a story. This night, it unfolded like a delicate origami swan and blanketed my lap, blank and motionless.